Have you ever felt disconnected, like you're surrounded by people but still alone? Like no matter how many social media notifications pop up on your phone or how many conversations you have in a day, there's still this lingering sense that something is missing. If you've ever felt this way, you're not alone. In fact, this feeling has a name: alienation, and it's one of the defining challenges of modern life. Think about it. We live in an age of unprecedented connectivity. With just a few taps on our phones, we can video call someone on the other side of the world, scroll through endless streams of curated content, or join online communities with millions of members. Yet, paradoxically, studies show that loneliness and disconnection are at an all-time high. People feel more fragmented, more isolated, and more unsure of their place in the world than ever before. But why? What is it about modern life that leaves so many of us feeling adrift, like pieces of ourselves are scattered and unmoored? Part of the answer lies in the way we've structured our societies. Technology has made life faster, more efficient, and more convenient, but it's also created a culture of distraction. We're constantly plugged in, yet rarely present. We chase external markers of success, likes, followers, promotions, but often neglect the inner work that truly sustains us, and then there's the loss of shared meaning. For most of human history, people found purpose through myths, rituals, and communal traditions. These stories connected individuals to something larger than themselves, a sense of belonging, continuity, and significance. But today, those shared narratives have faded. Many of us live in fragmented, individualistic societies where personal achievement is prized above collective well-being. Without a deeper sense of connection to ourselves, to others, and to the world around us, it's easy to feel lost. This is where Carl Jung comes in. Jung, one of the most influential psychologists of the 20th century, spent his life exploring the human psyche and its search for meaning. He believed that alienation wasn't just a symptom of modern life, it was a call to action, a signal that we need to turn inward, confront the parts of ourselves we've ignored, and begin the journey toward wholeness. Now, you might be wondering, what does wholeness even mean, and how do I achieve it? Over the next 50 minutes, we'll explore Jung's insights into alienation and discover practical ways to apply them to your own life. We'll talk about the shadow, the hidden parts of ourselves we'd rather avoid, and why embracing it is essential for growth. We'll examine archetypes, universal symbols that connect us to humanity's collective wisdom, and we'll discuss how reconnecting with myths, rituals, and authentic relationships can restore a sense of purpose and belonging. But here's the key takeaway. Finding meaning in a fragmented world isn't about escaping reality. It's about diving deeper into it. It's about recognizing that the answers you seek aren't out there in the latest app, trend, or self-help book. They're within you, waiting to be uncovered. So, as we embark on this journey together, I want you to ask yourself one question. What would my life look like if I stopped running from myself and started listening instead? Hold on to that thought, because by the end of this video, you'll have the tools to begin answering it. So, what exactly is alienation, and why does it feel so pervasive in today's world? At its core, alienation is a sense of disconnection from ourselves, from others, and from the larger web of meaning that gives life purpose. It's the feeling that you don't belong, that you're out of sync with the world around you, or that something vital is missing. And while it might seem like a modern phenomenon, alienation has deep roots in the way we've structured our lives and societies. Let's break this down. One of the biggest drivers of alienation is technology, or more specifically, how we use it. On the surface, technology promises connection. Social media platforms let us share our lives with thousands of friends. Messaging apps allow instant communication across continents. But here's the catch. These tools often prioritize quantity over quality. Instead of fostering meaningful relationships, they encourage superficial interactions, likes, comments, and fleeting exchanges that leave us feeling emptier than before. Then, there's consumerism. In many ways, modern culture equates happiness with consumption. Buy this product, achieve that goal, chase the next milestone, and you'll finally be fulfilled. But the problem with this mindset is that it creates a never-ending cycle of desire. No matter how much you acquire or accomplish, there's always something else to strive for. This leaves you trapped in a state of perpetual dissatisfaction, constantly searching for external validation instead of looking inward for answers. Another factor is the loss of community. For most of human history, people lived in tight-knit groups where everyone had a role to play and a sense of belonging. Rituals, traditions, and shared stories connected individuals to their families, tribes, and cultures. Today, many of us live in sprawling cities, isolated households, or fragmented social networks. While independence has its benefits, it also comes at a cost, a lack of deep, enduring connections that anchor us to something greater than ourselves. Here's an analogy to help you understand this better. Imagine standing in the middle of a crowded room, surrounded by people talking, laughing, and living their lives. But no matter how hard you try, you can't seem to join the conversation. It's like being adrift in an ocean without a compass, surrounded by movement, yet completely alone. This is what alienation feels like. It's not just loneliness, it's a profound sense of disorientation, as though you've lost touch with who you are and why you're here. Now, let's talk about how alienation manifests. It shows up in different ways for different people. Some experience it as a vague sense of emptiness, a feeling that life lacks depth or significance. Others feel restless, anxious, or disconnected, even when they're surrounded by loved ones. Still others struggle with self-doubt, questioning their worth or purpose in a chaotic and unpredictable world. But here's the good news. Alienation isn't permanent. It's a signal, a wake-up call that something in your life needs attention. Jung believed that feelings of disconnection were invitations to turn inward, to explore the parts of yourself you've neglected or suppressed. He saw alienation not as a flaw, but as a doorway to growth. So, as we continue exploring Jung's insights into alienation, keep this in mind. The fragmentation you feel isn't a reflection of your inadequacy. It's a symptom of a culture that prioritizes external achievements over inner fulfillment. The question is, will you listen to the call? Will you take the first step toward reconnecting with yourself and rediscovering meaning? As we move forward, I want you to reflect on this question. What aspects of my life feel fragmented or unmoored? Is it your relationships, your career, your sense of purpose? Whatever it is, don't judge yourself for feeling this way. Alienation is a universal human experience. The important thing is recognizing it and committing to finding your way back to wholeness. One of Carl Jung's most profound contributions to psychology is the concept of individuation, a process of becoming whole by integrating the conscious and unconscious parts of the self. At first glance, this might sound abstract or even intimidating, but at its heart, individuation is about embracing all aspects of who you are, the light and the dark, the known and the unknown, and using that awareness to live a more authentic, meaningful life. Let's break this down. What exactly does it mean to become whole? Imagine your psyche as a house. The rooms you visit regularly, the living room, the kitchen, the bedroom, represent your conscious mind. These are the parts of yourself you're familiar with, your thoughts, habits, and behaviors. But every house also has hidden spaces, attics, basements, closets that remain unexplored. These represent your unconscious mind, the feelings, memories, and desires you've repressed or ignored. Individuation is the process of exploring those hidden spaces. It's about shining a light into the corners of your psyche, uncovering what's been buried and bringing it into harmony with the rest of your being. This doesn't mean erasing or fixing anything. It means accepting and integrating all parts of yourself, even the ones that feel uncomfortable or unfamiliar. Now, why is this important? Because fragmentation, the sense of being disconnected from yourself, is one of the root causes of alienation. When you deny or suppress certain aspects of your personality, you create inner conflict. You might feel torn between competing desires, struggle with self-sabotage, or experience a persistent sense of emptiness. Individuation helps resolve this conflict by fostering self-awareness and alignment. Jung believed that individuation wasn't just a personal journey, it was a universal one. He argued that every human being has the potential to grow into their truest, fullest self. But this requires courage. It means facing the parts of yourself you'd rather avoid, the shadowy corners of your psyche where fear, anger, shame, and insecurity reside. It means questioning societal expectations and forging your own path, even if it feels uncertain or unconventional. Let me share an example. Consider the life of Nelson Mandela. During his 27 years in prison, Mandela faced immense hardship and isolation. Yet, instead of succumbing to bitterness or despair, he used this time to reflect deeply on his identity, values, and purpose. He confronted his own flaws and fears, emerging not just as a political leader, but as a symbol of unity and reconciliation. His journey exemplifies individuation, the process of integrating personal struggles into a larger sense of meaning and wholeness. So, how do you begin the process of individuation? Start by cultivating self-awareness. Pay attention to your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Ask yourself, what patterns keep showing up in my life? What triggers me and why? Journaling, meditation, and therapy are powerful tools for this kind of introspection. They help you access the unconscious mind and bring hidden aspects of yourself to the surface. Another key step is embracing paradox. Jung emphasized that wholeness isn't about achieving perfection or eliminating contradictions. It's about holding opposites in balance. For example, you can be both strong and vulnerable, logical and intuitive, independent and interdependent. By accepting these dualities, you free yourself from rigid thinking and open up new possibilities for growth. Finally, remember this: individuation is a lifelong journey, not a destination. There will always be new layers of yourself to explore, new challenges to overcome, and new insights to integrate. But each step you take brings you closer to authenticity and fulfillment. As we continue exploring Jung's insights into alienation, keep this in mind. Becoming whole isn't about escaping fragmentation, it's about embracing it. It's about recognizing that every part of you has value, even the pieces that feel broken or incomplete. The question is, are you ready to start putting the puzzle together? One of the most transformative aspects of Jung's work is his concept of the shadow, the hidden unconscious parts of ourselves that we deny or repress. These are the traits, emotions, and desires we deem unacceptable, shameful, or unworthy. And while it might seem easier to ignore them, Jung believed that confronting the shadow is essential for personal growth and wholeness. Let's break this down. What exactly is the shadow? Think of it as a locked room in the house of your psyche, a place where you've stored everything you don't want to face. Maybe it's anger you've suppressed because you were told it's unbecoming. Maybe it's jealousy you've buried because it feels petty or selfish. Or maybe it's vulnerability you've avoided because it makes you feel weak or exposed. Whatever it is, the shadow contains all the parts of yourself you've rejected, but that doesn't mean they disappear. Instead, they linger beneath the surface, influencing your thoughts, behaviors, and relationships in ways you might not even realize. Here's how it often plays out. When you deny certain aspects of yourself, they don't just vanish, they find other ways to express themselves. For example, someone who suppresses their anger might become passive-aggressive. Someone who hides their insecurity might overcompensate by seeking constant validation, and someone who avoids vulnerability might struggle to form deep, authentic connections. The shadow doesn't go away. It simply manifests indirectly, often causing inner conflict or external challenges. Now, let's talk about why embracing the shadow is so important. At first glance, it might seem counterintuitive. Why would you want to confront the parts of yourself you've worked so hard to avoid? The answer lies in integration. By acknowledging and accepting your shadow, you reclaim lost pieces of yourself. You stop projecting your fears and insecurities onto others, and you begin to live more authentically. Another powerful tool is journaling. Set aside time to write freely about the parts of yourself you dislike or fear. Be honest, no one else needs to see this. The goal isn't to judge yourself, but to bring these hidden elements into awareness. Once you've identified them, practice acceptance. Remind yourself that everyone has a shadow. It's part of being human. The key is how you choose to engage with it. Finally, remember this. Shadow work isn't about eradicating negative traits. It's about transforming them. Anger can become assertiveness. Jealousy can fuel healthy competition. Vulnerability can deepen intimacy. By integrating your shadow, you turn liabilities into strengths, unlocking new dimensions of yourself. As we continue exploring Jung's insights into alienation, keep this in mind. The shadow isn't your enemy. It's a misunderstood ally. It holds the keys to your authenticity and wholeness. The question is, will you take the first step toward embracing it? So, I leave you with this reflection. What traits or emotions am I afraid to confront, and what might they teach me? Trust that every part of you has value, even the ones that feel uncomfortable or unfamiliar, because true growth begins when you stop running from yourself. One of Carl Jung's most fascinating contributions to psychology is his theory of archetypes, universal symbols and patterns that reside in the collective unconscious. These archetypes are like blueprints of human experience, shaping the way we think, feel, and relate to the world. They connect us to something larger than ourselves, offering guidance, meaning, and a sense of belonging in an often fragmented existence. Let's break this down. What exactly are archetypes? Think of them as recurring themes or characters that appear across cultures, myths, and stories throughout history. For example, the hero archetype represents courage and resilience, the part of us that rises to face challenges. The mother archetype embodies nurturing and care, the instinct to protect and support others. And the trickster archetype reflects mischief and disruption, the playful or rebellious side of human nature. Jung believed that these archetypes aren't just abstract concepts. They're deeply ingrained in our psyches. They influence our behaviors, relationships, and life paths, often without us even realizing it. By becoming aware of them, we can tap into their wisdom and use them to navigate our personal journeys with greater clarity and purpose. Here's how it works. Archetypes act as lenses through which we interpret the world. For instance, if you resonate with the explorer archetype, you might feel drawn to adventure, discovery, and pushing boundaries. If the sage archetype speaks to you, you might value knowledge, introspection, and seeking truth. Recognizing which archetypes are active in your life can help you understand your motivations, strengths, and areas for growth. Now, let's talk about why archetypes matter in overcoming alienation. In a fragmented world where shared meaning feels scarce, archetypes reconnect us to universal narratives. They remind us that we're not alone, that our struggles, desires, and triumphs are part of a larger human story. Whether it's the warrior fighting for justice, the lover seeking connection, or the magician transforming reality, these symbols provide a framework for understanding who we are and what we're here to do. Let me share an example. Consider the myth of Persephone from Greek mythology. Persephone is abducted by Hades and taken to the underworld, where she becomes queen. Her story symbolizes the cyclical nature of life, death and rebirth, loss and renewal. For someone navigating grief or transition, the Persephone archetype can offer comfort and insight, reminding them that darkness is temporary and new beginnings are possible. So how do you identify the archetypes influencing your life? Start by reflecting on the roles you play and the stories you're drawn to. Do you see yourself as a caregiver, embodying the mother archetype? Or perhaps you're a visionary, aligning with the creator? Notice which characters in books, movies, or myths resonate with you, and why. These preferences often mirror aspects of your own psyche. Another practical exercise is journaling about key moments in your life. Ask yourself, which archetype was guiding me during this time? For example, if you overcame a major obstacle, the hero archetype might have been at work. If you nurtured a struggling friend, the caregiver archetype could have been active. Identifying these patterns helps you understand your inner dynamics and make conscious choices about how to grow. Here's a powerful insight. No single archetype defines you completely. We all embody multiple archetypes at different times, depending on our circumstances and stage of life. The key is finding balance. For instance, leaning too heavily into the warrior archetype might lead to aggression or burnout, while neglecting it could result in passivity or avoidance. By integrating complementary archetypes, you create harmony within yourself. Finally, remember this: archetypes aren't static, they evolve as you do. As you journey through life, new archetypes may emerge, reflecting shifts in your identity and purpose. Embracing this fluidity allows you to adapt and thrive, no matter what challenges arise. As we continue exploring Jung's insights into alienation, keep this in mind. Archetypes are bridges between the personal and the universal. They ground us in our individuality while connecting us to humanity's collective wisdom. The question is, which archetypes are guiding you right now, and how can they illuminate your path forward? So, I leave you with this challenge. Take a moment to reflect on the stories and symbols that inspire you. Ask yourself, what archetypal themes shape my life? How can I honor them while staying true to myself? Trust that these timeless patterns hold the keys to deeper self-awareness and fulfillment. One of Carl Jung's most intriguing concepts is the idea of the anima and animus, the feminine and masculine aspects that exist within each of us, regardless of gender. These archetypes represent the complementary energies that shape our personalities, relationships, and sense of wholeness. By understanding and integrating these polarities, we can overcome feelings of alienation and create a more balanced, authentic life. Let's break this down. What exactly are the anima and animus? According to Jung, every individual possesses both masculine and feminine qualities. The anima refers to the unconscious feminine side present in men, while the animus represents the unconscious masculine side present in women. These aren't tied to biological sex, but rather to psychological traits traditionally associated with masculinity and femininity. For example, masculine energy often embodies qualities like logic, assertiveness, independence, and action. Feminine energy, on the other hand, is typically associated with intuition, empathy, nurturing, and receptivity. While society often encourages us to prioritize one over the other, men being told to suppress vulnerability, women being pressured to downplay strength, Jung believed that true wholeness comes from embracing both. Here's why this matters. When we neglect or deny one side of ourselves, we create inner conflict. A man who suppresses his anima might struggle to express emotions, form deep connections, or trust his intuition. A woman who represses her animus might doubt her ability to lead, make decisions, or assert boundaries. Over time, this imbalance leads to dissatisfaction, alienation, and a fragmented sense of self. Now, let's talk about how the anima and animus show up in our lives. These Archetypes influence not only how we relate to ourselves, but also how we interact with others. For instance, someone with an underdeveloped anima might idealize or project unrealistic expectations onto romantic partners, seeking in them what they've failed to cultivate within themselves. Similarly, someone with a neglected animus might struggle to take initiative or stand up for their needs, relying excessively on external validation. Here's an analogy to help you understand this better. Imagine a seesaw with two sides, one representing masculine energy and the other feminine. If one side is weighted too heavily, the seesaw becomes unstable, tipping dangerously in one direction. But when both sides are balanced, the seesaw finds equilibrium, a dynamic harmony that allows movement and flow. The same principle applies to your psyche. Integrating the anima and animus creates balance, enabling you to navigate life with greater flexibility and resilience. Let me share an example. Consider the life of Frida Kahlo, the renowned Mexican artist. Kahlo's work is celebrated for its raw emotional depth and unflinching exploration of identity, pain, and love. Her paintings reflect a powerful integration of masculine and feminine energies, bold, assertive strokes paired with deeply intuitive, empathetic themes. By embracing both sides of herself, Kahlo transcended societal limitations and forged a legacy of authenticity and strength. So, how do you begin working with your anima and animus? Start by reflecting on which qualities feel underdeveloped in your life. Ask yourself, do I struggle to express vulnerability or assertiveness? Am I overly analytical or overly emotional? Journaling can be a helpful tool here. Write about moments when you felt out of sync, times when you wished you could act differently or respond with more balance. Another practical strategy is observing your relationships. Often the people we're drawn to or clash with mirror aspects of our own anima or animus. For example, if you admire someone's confidence and decisiveness, it might indicate a need to develop your own animus. If you're captivated by someone's compassion and creativity, it could signal a call to nurture your anima. By recognizing these reflections, you gain insight into areas for growth. Finally, remember this: balancing the anima and animus isn't about conforming to stereotypes. It's about honoring your full spectrum of humanity. It's about allowing yourself to be both strong and soft, logical and intuitive, independent and interdependent. This integration doesn't happen overnight. It's a lifelong process of self-discovery and acceptance as we continue exploring. Jung's insights into alienation. Keep this in mind. The anima and animus are bridges between opposites. They remind us that wholeness isn't about choosing one side. It's about embracing both. The question is, which aspects of your inner polarity are calling for attention, and how can you bring them into harmony? So I leave you with this reflection. Which qualities within me feel neglected or suppressed? How can I honor and integrate them to live more authentically? Trust that every part of you has value, even the ones that feel unfamiliar or challenging. Because true growth begins when you stop dividing yourself and start uniting your inner world. Carl Jung's most intriguing ideas is the concept of synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that seem to defy logical explanation. These moments often feel like whispers from the universe, nudging us toward greater awareness and connection. While skeptics might dismiss them as random chance, Jung believed that synchronicities are profound opportunities to find meaning in a fragmented world. Let's break this down. What exactly is synchronicity? It's the experience of two or more events occurring together in a way that feels significant, even though there's no apparent causal link between them. For example, you might think of an old friend you haven't spoken to in years and then receive a call or message from them moments later. Or you might stumble upon a book that answers a question you've been wrestling with, as if the universe handed it to you at just the right time. Jung described synchronicity as a causal connecting principle, suggesting that these events are guided by something deeper than cause and effect. They arise from the interplay between the conscious mind and the unconscious, bridging the gap between inner thoughts and outer reality. In other words, synchronicities reflect a harmony between your inner world and the external world, a sign that you're aligned with the flow of life. Now let's talk about why synchronicity matters in overcoming alienation. In a fragmented, fast-paced world, synchronicities remind us that we're part of something larger than ourselves. They reconnect us to the idea that life isn't purely random, that there's an underlying order, even if we can't always see it. By paying attention to these moments, we cultivate a sense of wonder, purpose, and belonging. Here's how it often plays out. Imagine feeling stuck in your career, unsure of what step to take next. One day, you overhear a stranger talking about a job opening that perfectly matches your skills and passions. Later that week, you come across an article about someone who made a similar transition, inspiring you to take action. These seemingly unrelated events converge to guide you forward, offering clarity and encouragement when you need it most. Let me share an example. Consider the story of Paulo Coelho, the best-selling author of The Alchemist. Before achieving literary success, Coelho faced numerous setbacks, including struggles with self-doubt and societal expectations. Yet, throughout his journey, he experienced synchronicities that reaffirmed his path, chance encounters, serendipitous discoveries, and moments of unexpected guidance. He came to see these events as signs that he was on the right track, trusting the invisible threads weaving through his life. So, how do you begin recognizing and working with synchronicity? Start by cultivating mindfulness. Synchronicities often go unnoticed because we're too distracted to pay attention. Slow down and observe the world around you. Notice patterns, symbols, or recurring themes that seem to appear at significant moments. Keep a journal to document these experiences, reflecting on their possible meanings. Another powerful practice is setting intentions. When you focus your energy on a specific goal or question, you create a mental and emotional resonance that can attract synchronistic events. For example, if you're seeking direction in your life, ask yourself, what do I need to know right now? Then remain open to the answers that come, not just through logic, but through intuition and coincidence. Finally, remember this: synchronicity isn't something you can force, it's something you allow. It requires trust, curiosity, and a willingness to embrace uncertainty. Instead of dismissing unusual coincidences as mere chance, consider what they might be trying to tell you. Are they affirming your choices, challenging your assumptions, guiding you toward new possibilities? As we continue exploring Jung's insights into alienation, keep this in mind. Synchronicity is a reminder that you're never truly alone. Even in moments of doubt or disconnection, the universe has a way of reaching out, offering clues and reassurance along the way. The question is, will you notice them, and will you act on them? So I leave you with this challenge. Start paying closer attention to the small, seemingly insignificant details in your daily life. Ask yourself, is there a pattern here? What might this moment be trying to teach me? Trust that synchronicity isn't just a random occurrence, it's a language of meaning, waiting for you to listen. One of the most powerful antidotes to alienation is connection. While much of our journey toward wholeness happens internally, true fulfillment often comes through relationships with others, with communities, and with something greater than ourselves. Carl Jung understood this deeply. He believed that while individuation, the process of becoming whole, is a personal endeavor, it ultimately leads us back to connection. It reminds us that we're not meant to navigate life alone. We're wired for belonging, empathy, and shared meaning. Let's break this down. Why is connection so essential? Humans are inherently social beings. From the earliest days of our evolution, survival depended on cooperation, working together to hunt, gather, and protect one another. But beyond survival, connection fulfills a deeper need, the need to be seen, heard, and valued. When we isolate ourselves, whether physically, emotionally, or spiritually, we cut ourselves off from this fundamental source of nourishment. Now, let's talk about how modern life disrupts connection. In today's fast-paced, hyper-individualistic world, many of us prioritize independence over interdependence. We chase personal goals, celebrate self-reliance, and measure success by individual achievements. While these pursuits have their place, they often come at a cost. Loneliness. Studies show that chronic loneliness can have devastating effects on mental and physical health, rivaling the risks associated with smoking or obesity. Alienation thrives in isolation, but connection restores balance. So, how do you build meaningful connections in a fragmented world? Start by prioritizing quality over quantity. It's not about having hundreds of acquaintances or followers. It's about cultivating a few deep, authentic relationships. Ask yourself, who in my life truly sees and accepts me for who I am? These are the people worth investing in. Reach out to them. Share your thoughts, fears, and dreams. Vulnerability is the foundation of genuine connection. Another practical step is joining communities aligned with your values and passions. Whether it's a local book club, a volunteer organization, or an online forum, finding like-minded individuals creates opportunities for shared experiences and mutual support. Jung emphasized the importance of myths and rituals in fostering collective meaning, and many communities still offer these through traditions, ceremonies, and storytelling. Participating in such activities helps you feel part of something larger than yourself. Let me share an example. Consider the story of Malala Yousafzai, whose advocacy for girls' education brought her into contact with countless individuals and organizations around the world. What began as a personal mission grew into a global movement because she opened herself to collaboration. She didn't try to fight alone. She built a community of allies who shared her vision. This sense of connection amplified her impact and sustained her during challenging times. Finally, remember this. Connection isn't just about receiving, it's also about giving. Acts of kindness, empathy, and service strengthen bonds and create ripple effects that extend far beyond the immediate moment. When you contribute to others' well-being, you reinforce your own sense of purpose and belonging. As we continue exploring Jung's insights into alienation, keep this in mind. Connection is a two-way street. It requires effort, vulnerability, and reciprocity. But the rewards are immeasurable. A life rich with love, support, and shared meaning. The question is, where will you begin? So, I leave you with this challenge. Take one small step today to deepen your connections. Maybe it's calling a friend you haven't spoken to in a while. Maybe it's attending a community event, or simply smiling at a stranger. Whatever it is, trust that every act of connection matters. Because in a fragmented world, coming together is the ultimate path to wholeness. One of Carl Jung's most profound insights is the power of myth and symbolism to reconnect us to shared meaning. Myths are more than just ancient stories. They're timeless narratives that reflect universal truths about the human experience. They speak to our deepest fears, desires, and aspirations, offering guidance and comfort in times of uncertainty. In a fragmented world where alienation often stems from a loss of collective purpose, myths remind us that we're part of something greater, a continuum of humanity stretching across time and culture. Let's break this down. What exactly is a myth? At its core, a myth is a symbolic story that conveys profound truths about life. Unlike history, which documents events, or science, which explains phenomena, myths explore the mysteries of existence. Questions like, who am I? Why am I here? And what is my place in the world? These stories transcend individual experiences, tapping into the collective unconscious, the shared reservoir of human wisdom that Jung believed connects us all. Now, let's talk about why myths matter in overcoming alienation. In today's fast-paced, technology-driven society, many of us have lost touch with the symbolic language of myths. We focus on facts, data, and efficiency, often neglecting the emotional and spiritual dimensions of life. But myths provide something that logic alone cannot: a sense of wonder, belonging, and continuity. They remind us that our struggles aren't unique, that generations before us have faced similar challenges and found ways to endure. Here's how it often plays out. Imagine feeling overwhelmed by a personal crisis, unsure of how to move forward. You pick up a book of mythology and read the story of Perseus slaying Medusa or Odysseus navigating his long journey home. While these tales take place in distant lands and eras, their themes resonate deeply: courage in the face of fear, resilience in the face of adversity, and the search for home and identity. Suddenly, your own struggles feel less isolating. You realize you're part of a larger narrative, one that has been unfolding for millennia. Let me share an example. Consider the myth of the phoenix, a bird that rises from its own ashes. This archetype of rebirth appears in various cultures and traditions, symbolizing transformation and renewal. For someone navigating grief, illness, or failure, the phoenix serves as a powerful reminder that endings often give rise to new beginnings. By connecting with this myth, they find strength and hope in the knowledge that destruction can lead to creation. So, how do you begin rediscovering the power of myths and symbols in your life? Start by exploring stories that resonate with you. Whether it's Greek mythology, religious texts, fairy tales, or modern allegories, pay attention to the ones that stir something deep within you. Ask yourself, what does this story reveal about my own journey? How does it mirror my struggles or aspirations? Another practical step is incorporating rituals into your daily life. Rituals are living expressions of myth. They bring symbolic meaning into tangible actions. Lighting a candle, meditating, journaling, or even preparing a meal with intention can serve as reminders of the sacredness of everyday moments. Jung believed that engaging with rituals helps bridge the gap between the conscious and unconscious mind, fostering a deeper sense of connection and purpose. Finally, remember this: myths aren't relics of the past. They're living entities that evolve with us. The heroes, villains, and quests of today's films, novels, and video games carry forward the same archetypal patterns found in ancient myths. By recognizing these patterns, we tap into a timeless source of inspiration and guidance. As we continue exploring Jung's insights into alienation, keep this in mind. Myths and symbols are bridges between the personal and the universal. They ground us in our individuality while connecting us to humanity's shared heritage. The question is, which stories will guide you, and how will they illuminate your path forward? So, I leave you with this reflection. Which myths or symbols resonate most deeply with me right now? How can I use them to navigate my current challenges? Trust that these timeless narratives hold the keys to deeper understanding and fulfillment. Because in a fragmented world, shared stories are the threads that weave us back together. We've reached the end of our exploration into Carl Jung's insights into alienation, but this isn't truly an ending. It's a beginning, a moment, to take everything we've discussed and apply it to your life. Because understanding the psychological tools Jung offers is only the first step. The real transformation happens when you use them to navigate your journey toward wholeness. Let's recap what we've covered so far. We started by identifying the pervasive sense of alienation that plagues modern life, the disconnection from ourselves, others, and meaning. We explored how technology, consumerism, and societal pressures contribute to this fragmentation, leaving us feeling lost and adrift. But then we turn to Jung's wisdom, uncovering powerful tools for reconnecting with our true selves and the world around us. We delved into individuation, the process of becoming whole by integrating all parts of ourselves, the light and the dark, the known and the unknown. We confronted the shadow, embracing the hidden aspects of our psyche that we often deny or suppress. We examined archetypes, tapping into universal symbols that guide and inspire us. And we explored the anima and animus, balancing the masculine and feminine energies within to create harmony and authenticity. We also discussed synchronicity, finding meaning in the coincidences that remind us we're part of something larger than ourselves. We emphasized the importance of connection, building relationships and communities that nurture belonging and purpose. Finally, we rediscovered the power of myths and symbols, using shared stories to anchor ourselves in humanity's collective wisdom. Together, these tools form a roadmap for overcoming alienation and reclaiming a sense of wholeness. But here's the most important takeaway. None of these concepts matter unless you put them into practice. Knowledge without action is like a map without movement. You know where you want to go, but you never actually start the journey. So I urge you, don't let this be just another intellectual exercise. Take one step today, right now, to embody these principles in your life. Ask yourself, what's one thing I can do differently tomorrow to break free from the patterns that hold me back? Maybe it's journaling about your shadow, noticing synchronicities, or reaching out to someone who matters to you. Maybe it's exploring a myth that resonates with your current struggles or joining a community that aligns with your values. Whatever it is, commit to it. Small actions compound over time, creating massive shifts in who you are and how you experience life. Now, I want to leave you with a story, a metaphor for the journey ahead. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast ocean. The waves crash against the shore, unpredictable and untamed. At first, the water feels cold and intimidating, pulling at your feet as if trying to keep you in place. But instead of turning back, you take a deep breath and wade further in. With each step, the resistance lessens. The water becomes clearer, revealing vibrant colors beneath the surface, coral reefs teeming with life, schools of fish darting through the currents, sunlight dancing on the waves. This is your journey toward wholeness. The ocean represents the depths of your psyche, the unconscious mind, the shadow, the archetypes, and the mysteries of existence. It might feel overwhelming at times, but the treasures lie beneath the surface, waiting for you to discover them. Every step you take brings you closer to clarity, connection, and fulfillment. Remember, growth doesn't happen in isolation. It happens when you lean into discomfort, embrace paradox, and trust the process. You don't need to have everything figured out to move forward. You just need to take the next step, and then the next, and the next. As we close, I want to remind you of something powerful. You are the architect of your destiny. The choices you make, the actions you take, and the mindset you cultivate shape the course of your life. Alienation will come, it's inevitable, but so is your ability to rise above it, to use it as fuel for growth, to transform it into something meaningful. So, the next time you feel disconnected, and it will happen, I want you to pause, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, what now? Not why me, not how much longer, but what now? Because in that question lies your power. In that question lies your opportunity to choose courage over fear, connection over isolation, and growth over stagnation. You are capable of more than you realize. You are stronger than you think. And you are worthy of a life filled with meaning, authenticity, and joy. All you have to do is take the first step, and then the next, and the next. Thank you for joining me on this journey through Jung's insights into alienation and the tools to overcome it. My hope is that these ideas inspire you to embrace your inner world, honor your uniqueness, and live a life of courage and purpose. Remember, the road may be challenging, but the destination is worth it. Now go out there and create your masterpiece. The world is waiting for the best version of you.